Hi there, Kevin here for Ledicarus Media. Today I want to talk about good and evil. First of all, when it comes to good and evil, you'll find that through mass media, like movies and videos, that they want you to believe everything is evil. And the reason they do that is because it's good entertainment value. If they can find ways to scare you, they know that you're going to buy that movie or that ticket to watch the movie. The problem is that evil does not exist in the world as much as it does in the movies. And movies do a great disservice to everyone from witches to Wiccans to ghosts to the paranormal and even to devils and demons. Because what makes for good entertainment value distorts the truth, whether it be scientific or otherwise, about the presence of evil in the world. The second thing is the YouTube algorithm. Now, I've heard several channels point this out, that they have to use the word devil or demon or skinwalker in their title in order to move up in the rankings. Their claim is that the algorithm looks for those words. And what they don't seem to realize is they are the reason that the algorithm is looking for those words. If everyone started using the word snowball in their title, then the algorithm would start picking up on the word snowball. You are creating the very problem that viewers have an issue with. And that is, when we watch a video, we don't typically look at the video title. And I know you're going to say, well, some people do and the computer does, so that's what's important. But you are, even as legitimate, hi squirrel, even as legitimate paranormal investigators, creating the problem. There are no demons in your video. There are no skinwalkers in your video. And to say there is when you cannot provide any evidence to that means that you are creating production over paranormal. You almost should label your video for entertainment purposes only, because you're not conducting a paranormal investigation. You're creating clickbait. And clickbait is one of the most disgusting things out there. So you're creating that problem. You are telling the algorithm these are the words they should be looking for. And then you're perpetuating that cycle. Now, let's answer a couple questions. The first is everything paranormal evil? Are ghosts evil? Are spirits evil? And the answer is absolutely no. not all of them are. However, when I explain evil in the world in regards to the paranormal, I like to make the point, living people are generally good. The people you know are generally good. And even if they do bad things, if they don't do bad things to you, then you see them as generally good. Now, bad things to me are being like a narcissist, or stealing not for the sake of survival, but because you can, or because you think somebody doesn't deserve those things, so you steal. Those are bad things. Those are bad people. They're people who have made bad decisions, which makes them bad. Then there's that very small percentage, like 1% in the world, who are truly evil. And murder obviously is one of those evil things, but you can make bad choices and commit murder, whether it's even in self-defense or you've just done it for some economic or romantic or whatever gain. It's bad, but it's not truly evil. Truly evil are the serial killers and the mass murderers, and for example, the Hitlers in the world. Those 1% are truly evil. They're demonic. And that's how you should look at the paranormal. For the most part, 95% are good. 4% are bad, and 1% are truly demonic or evil. And movies and television and that really create this perception that everything is evil, and it's not. And let's see, the last thing to discuss would be the presence of evil. Now, I'm going to mention two people, or two channels. The first is The New Reality, which features Shawn and Cody. Shawn actually states that he is a medium. I believe Cody is as well, but he's not as much a practicing medium as Shawn is. The other is Twin Paranormal, which is Ryan and River and Wyatt, and right now they kind of flex their fourth person. It was Nick for a while, but he's left for now. Anyway, I think that Shawn from The New Reality can relate to this, in that as a medium, you are basically standing in the doorway between this dimension and the next. And there are I wouldn't say a few of us, but there are those of us who stand in that doorway between good and evil. And whether we were chosen to or ended up in that position through our own actions, or even by accident, we're kind of like the gatekeepers we can connect to evil in the world, but it doesn't consume us. And we can, I wouldn't say control it is the wrong word, but we have power over it. And everybody has power over evil, but you know, we're the ones that walk into a room, and we can carry on a conversation with something as evil and say, look, you're not going to attach to any of us. You're not going to harm us. You need to back off. We'll listen to you, but you don't have control over us. And we're going to make sure that you don't have control over anyone else in this room. And I believe that I gained that ability. At some point, I evolved that ability. But I realized that I had it on Mount Ching. Now, I've told the story about this, and I think I did a video on it as well. So I'm not going to go into great detail today about it. But it's when, at that one time in my life, that I have experienced true evil. Now, in this case, it was an evil entity, which I'll refer to as a demon. And there were other demonic energies gathering around this or near this entity. And it's probably I would say it's the only time in my life that I have had that close contact to something that evil. And I'm, almost 51 years old. So in my entire life, I've come that close once. There are other times when I've been in the presence of what may be evil entities. There are times when I've interacted with evil or bad entities. But that would be the only time I actually was that close to one. And I think that it touched me in some way that put me in this position of being able to, a good example is Constantine. If you've watched that movie, John Constantine, now I didn't have this ability. But I think you can find yourself on that line where you can see good and evil in the world and have some control over it. I don't find myself as being unique. I think, like I mentioned, there's Shawn. I think there are other people in the world who have been chosen to be gatekeepers, if you will. They're the ones that are in the doorway. And the last thing that I would want to talk about is poltergeists. Now, poltergeists are seen as negative or demonic or out to harm people. And here's the thing you have to realize. Okay, picture yourself as a living human being. You walk across the room and you pick up a glass. For most people, it's a fairly routine, simple thing to do. For a ghost or spirit, they don't have hands. They're not physically, they're not physical. Now, they can manifest physical actions, and this is where poltergeists come in. But I think when it comes to And unless they really cause you harm and there's evidence that there is evil in this location, and not just, they threw a rock at us, they must be evil. No, unless there is evidence to the contrary, I think that most poltergeists are just trying to make contact. A good example, again, is if you watch the movie Ghost. There was that ghost in the subway who taught Patrick Swayze's ghost how to move objects. And at one point, Patrick Swayze's ghost, if you haven't seen it, this is a spoiler, he knocks a pop can up into the air and it hits the other ghost in the forehead. Now, he didn't do that intentionally. He was just moving the object and it went in that direction. That's where his focus went. And I think that ghosts, for the most part, or poltergeists, are just trying to make contact with this world, or they're just bored and they move something and you happen to be there when it happens, or you've motivated them to do it, or you've provided them the energy to do it. But I don't think, for the most part, poltergeists are evil. Again, this goes back to mass media and movies and television trying to tell everybody that poltergeists are evil. And this goes to production over paranormal. And I mentioned this before, in 8 hours of recording, you might get 5 minutes of activity. So if you're in a movie where there's rocks being thrown and furniture being moved, and it's probably staged. It's most likely staged. I would say 99% likely staged. So it's fake. Even in those places where paranormal poltergeist activity is occurring, it's not going to be that frequent. I'm sorry, but you don't live in the world of Amityville Horror or whatever, poltergeist, or paranormal activity. Those are movies. Those are stories. And even the most honest story has been manipulated to entertain you in that movie. So you have to take everything you watch with a grain of salt, as the saying goes. But I don't think, like, a cat ball being activated is a poltergeist activity. It's not threatening. I think most spirits that are perceived, or ghosts that are perceived as evil or demonic, are actually depressed or lonely or afraid or, anxious or frustrated, or something that if you were looking at a living human being, you might have empathy towards. But because you can't see facial features and body language and, those things, you interpret it as a negative or evil act. And I think we have to look beyond that. And I think we have to look better at mind. That, yes, there is evil in the world, but it is far less than what YouTube will tell you, or movies, or television. And to bring back to the original point, stop with the algorithm already. Just stop. Demons, devils, skinwalkers, unless you get substantial evidence proving that. A lot of little birds around today. Unless you get substantial evidence proving that, just stop. We don't want to see that. We don't, when we look, and it is clickbait and it does work, but it only makes us disappointed in what we watch. When we click on a video that says, you know, we were chased by a demon, and you watch the video for 40 minutes, and while there is some evidence that something out there, it's beneath you. Do better. We all need to do better with this. Let's try and bring a little more accuracy into that algorithm. You know, if you're chased by something in a cornfield, it's not necessarily a skinwalker or a demon. Might be. But don't just use that in your headline, your video title, as clickbait. It's getting tiring. And, you know, unfortunately, if you've watched the video, you know what I'm talking about. And I don't mean to pick on those guys. That's not my intention here. My intention is to address the community as a whole. We need to do better. Anyway, that's it for now. Let's see if this video came out. The last video attempt I made of this, there was a lot of wind. So hopefully this one is done better. And that's it for now. Like they say, like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you next week.